Hey everyone, Colbert here with another Rachel Legends video. So guys, today we have the limited time fusion event launch for Cillian the Lucky. So this event is gonna go on up to end of March 31. It's when the event ends, and we need only 4 epic champions that are probably available to anyone in the game who's been playing for quite some time. So guys, before we get to the details of the fusion, this is the most important information you need about the fusion. Is like, how many potions do you need? This is always the struggle for me. So I made a potion calculator in a previous video on how many potions you need. So you insert basically all the rares that are needed, basically 4 spirit, magic, void, and then you also put in the epics that are needed. So 1 force, 1 spirit, magic, 1 void here, and then we have the total of the potions needed. So it's not that bad in terms of how many potions are needed. So it's like 50, 46, and the same with basically every level. Of course, the arcane are going to be the hardest because you always need arcane for each fusion and for each ascension, regardless of if it's spirit, magic, void, or force. So always you're going to need way more arcane than the other ones. And of course, here we have the total gem cost for leveling up all those champions to the maximum level, so 40 and level 50. If you don't have the raid pass, so this is the amount you have. So I'm going to put a link down in the description for that fusion calculator. So be sure to check that spreadsheet out and make a copy for yourself, because that's the only way you can edit information in there. You won't be able to edit it from my version. So you need to make a copy. So let's get on with the video. So for example, me, I have 3 of this 4 rares needed so far. So just by looking at this, I'm 75% done, not taking into consideration all the potions that are needed. If you go down the list, you can see that every single champion is going to be available for from events and champion tournaments. Also, the corpse collector is available from the champion training event that's currently going on, and we'll take a look right there. We also have Suwai Firstborn, who is also available from a summon rush on March 20 to March 23, so next week. And I think on that day, we're going to have 2x on a void summon. So guys, if you have voids, do not open them right now to try and get Suwai. Just wait until next Friday. I think that's when we're going to have a 2x on void. I have no idea if that's true, but I have a feeling that's what's going to happen. But if you don't want to get her from the summon rush, there's Witness, Crimson Slayer, Seducer, War Maiden available for you to get. Like, we've got an artifact enhancement event coming on Monday, I think. The same thing with the Dungeons Divers. Dungeons Divers is always good, and you should try and get those champion training points when the Dungeon Divers event is going on. Also, Jingle Hunter available from the Dungeons Diver. Overall, I think this is a very good event, guys, just from how they made the epics available. So if we take a look at the champion training event, the champion training event is the usual 30,000 points, but they listen to us. And this is a very good point. Okay, the rewards are very bad, except for the champions that are available. So the rewards are like 15 gems. The silver, it's really bad because apparently Plarium does not know what silver does in the game. Like how much silver do you need to level up your artifacts and stuff like that. But look at this, guys. At 20,000 points, you actually get the epic needed for the fusion. And this is the only one I'm missing. So this is the one I'm gonna focus the most. I'm not going to spend my resources for the other events, although we do have a dragon training event. But still, yeah, I'm going to focus on this event to get her, and then I'll be able to get Cillian the Lucky. Cillian the Lucky, if you haven't taken a look at him already, so he's a Bannerlord's attack-based legendary. And from my first view last night when I had my stream on Twitch, I really think that this champion is going to be just an arena champion, really, because of his A1, attacks one enemy twice. This needs 5 books to be effective, and there's a chance to apply a decreased speed debuff on the enemy and also steal Term Meter. So I'm not sure if this is the first champion that steals Term Meter, but still, this kind of skill is very unique, and it's not going to work for bosses like the clan boss. I'm not sure if it's going to work for other bosses like the spider, so he might be useful there, but still he needs a lot of books. So let's go for A2. His A2, inflict misfortune, attacks one enemy, has an 85% chance of placing a block cooldown skills debuff. So these block cooldown skills, it's not that great. It means that it basically enables the enemies to only do their A1, so it disables their other attacks, so they cannot do anything on their A2. And this has a very, this skill is good, but it's like 100% once you book it, and then it's a 3-turn cooldown. So you can probably do it as an AoE, but that's only 50% chance once you have it fully booked, not taking into consideration of the mastery. So Headringer, his A3 attacks one enemy, 75% chance of placing a stun debuff for 1 turn, has a 25% chance of placing the stun debuff for 2 turns instead, and stealing 50% of the target's current turn meter. Reset the cooldown of this skill if the target is killed. I really like his A3. His A3 I think is the best skill he possibly has. If you max it out, then it's 3 turns cooldown. We see here a 20% increase in damage just from 1 level up. I do like this, and I have a feeling that Headringer, this skill, is going to do a ton of damage on an enemy. And you're going to be able to target out and snipe champions in the arena. And if you don't, you're going to just stun them, and it's going to be either 1 turn or 2 turns. It depends on the RNG. I like this A3, but the other 2 skills are not that exciting. And of course, you also steal turn meter, so that's also a good thing. He's going to take more turns and do more damage. His stats overall are good for an attack-based champion, so 1.4k attack. His speed is at 98. This could have been higher, but I guess because he's going to be stealing turn meter, that won't really matter. So guys, his passive, in the spirit of, you know, St. Patrick's, it's in the same thinking as Shamrock. So he's going to get a buff each time he gets a turn. And this buff can possibly be increased attack block damage, which is very strong. Strengthen, increased critical damage, and increased critical rate. Of course, the more turns he gets, the more buffs he's going to have on himself. So of course, his damage will be increased depending on which one he gets. Block damage and strengthen are more defensive buffs rather than damage, but the other 3 buffs, yeah, those will affect his damage output. So as his aura is just an increased ally attack in all battles by 25%. That's always good, but there's better champions for that who have much higher than this. And also, possibly for arena, you're not going to use, you're gonna probably use like a speed aura instead. If you're thinking of getting Cillian the Lucky, I really do recommend it because yeah, it's an easy fusion. From what I see here, all the champions are available and have been available throughout the game. And if you don't want to get the fusion, if you don't want to go for the fusion, then you're going to have until the end of March to get these champions. So let's take a look at the champions, guys. So we've got Steadfast Marshal. He's an okay void, but nothing special. So he can be actually sacrificed. We've got Perforator here, not that great as well. Foolish Ranger, Ocarine Jailer. Here he is, Necro Hunter, guys. Attacks one enemy twice. Each hit has a 50% chance of placing a 60% decreased defense debuff for 2 turns. This is okay, but there's much better champions out there that do decreased defense, including War Maiden. His A2 attacks one enemy, 50% chance of attacking all enemies with an extra hit. This could be good, but we don't know how much damage he really does, so he's not worth it in my opinion. And Tombstalker attacks one enemy, 75% chance of placing Veil buff on this champion for 2 turns if this attack is critical. And the improved one is just a perfect fill. So this one, I do like this skill, but he's not worth it. So if you're gonna go for the fusion, do not care about Necro Hunter. He's worth the sacrifice, so I would sacrifice him if I was you. Next up, we do have Corpse Collector. So let's take a look at Corpse Collector. So she's got a 1-hit A1, 40% chance of placing a Leech debuff for 2 turns. That's okay, but Leech is not that effective as you guys might think. So on the clan boss, you don't want to have Leech on the clan boss. Her A2, 75% chance of placing a 100% heal reduction debuff and a 50% decrease attack accuracy debuff on all enemies for 2 turns. I do not like this for the clan boss, but possibly for arena this might be used. It's an AoE, 3 turns cooldown, but those are a lot of books that are needed. Her A3, Noxious and Escape, attacks 3 times at random. Each hit has a 75% chance of placing a poison debuff for 2 turns. Yeah, this can be good. It's like 3 poisons at a 4-turn cooldown. That's always good. And also places a Veil buff on this champion. That's good, but because of her other skills, I wouldn't use her in the clan boss. So yeah, in my opinion, she is sacrificable as well. So I'm gonna lose Haruspex, Fortress Goon, Wanderer, and Twin Claw Disciple. Although I do have these 4, I might not go for the champion training. But, you know, there's a legendary book in the end of that champion training, you know, at those 30,000 points. So I might go for that instead. And then we also have Suwai. So to get Suwai, you're going to need to sacrifice Witness, Crimson Slayer, Seducer, and War Maiden. Of course, here, War Maiden is a farmable champion, so you can sacrifice one of her to get the champion. But Seducer, guys, if you don't have him already, if you're a free-to-play player, that has very few voids and was not lucky enough to get a Seducer, there's champion guides out there for Seducer, and Seducer is a very good rare to get. He's got ally protection, he's got an AoE decrease attack debuff on enemies. So this is a very good champion to have, and I really suggest that you do keep him if you're not going to go for the fusion. Suwai Firstborn, she's got an A1 one-hit attack, block buffs, debuff for 2 turns, 50% increased attack buff, and a 30% critical rate buff on this champion for 2 turns if this attack kills an enemy. This is a good A1, but not that great in terms of her not being sacrificable in order to get Cillian. Her A2 attacks one enemy, attacks all enemies with a second hit. If this attack is critical, okay, so you get her with a lot of critical damage, and she's gonna be doing way more damage. This attack will always be a normal hit, which means this will not be a weak hit, is what I'm guessing that means. Also, her A3 attacks one enemy, 5 turn cooldown for applying a weakened debuff. So yeah, I'm not sure about this, but look at this, guys. Before attacking, it has a 50% chance of placing a 25% weaken debuff for 2 turns. So yeah, this is also cool. I also like this. This attack will always be a normal hit. I think this means it won't be a critical hit, actually. So yeah, her A3 is not that great. There's other much better champions that apply a weaken. You want to have your weaken or your A1 because you want to keep getting that weaken on the enemy. You don't want it at 4 turns cooldown because that's a bit too long. So yeah, she's also not that great in my opinion, but if you want to get her, yeah, go and get her. For the last epic, which I also think is replaceable, Jingle Hunter. If you do not have something that provides you an aura, then maybe you should not sacrifice him. But there's Cudgeler, Hatchet Slinger, Interceptor, and Gladiator. I think all these champions are replaceable. So out of all these rares that are possible to get, in order to get Cillian, there's only Seducer here that I would suggest getting and keeping if you're not going to go for the fusion. The other ones are replaceable. So if you can get Suwai from the summon event, so you cannot miss out on Seducer, then that's great. But if not, then you might as well just sacrifice the others, get possibly the epics. They might help you out in the dungeons, and keep Seducer there. But still, I think Cillian could have some uses, possibly in the Banner Lords, Faction Wars as well for my account. So let's take a look at Jingle Hunter, the last one. So Jingle Hunter, he does have an ally speed aura in the arena by 24%. It's a good aura, and his skills are also good for the arena attacks one enemy twice. Decrease speed debuff for 2 turns if this attack is critical. So get him some critical critical rate gear on him, so he's gonna be much more useful. 90% chance of placing a freeze debuff on all enemies for 1 turn if this attack kills the enemy. So this one is nice because if you do apply that freeze debuff, you're gonna have more control in the arena. And his A3 attacks all enemies, decreases turn meter by 20% if this attack is critical. Builds this champion turn meter by 10% if this attack is critical. So yeah, critical rate is a must for this champion. But still, yeah, unless you desperately need the aura, which you shouldn't. I mean, you get High Katuni at 30 days for free to play. Yeah, he's not needed as well. So I'm gonna go for the fusion, no doubt about it. So I can also make a guide about him, and yeah, that's it. So guys, overall, what do you think about the fusion? Are you gonna go for Cillian? Are you not gonna go for Cillian? Which champions do you think are replaceable out of all those fusion materials needed? And of course, have you managed to farm the potions? That's the most difficult part for me for a fusion, just farming all those potions, because it's a ton of potions needed, and the dungeons are not always open for you to farm. So yeah, thanks a lot guys for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.